Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess a couple of you streetlight crusaders out there tonight, welcome back to Music Village. And we'll admit to you fans out there, this week a couple of things got mixed up, and the schedule that we originally had for the show to air at 6 got changed to about somewhere near midnight. Now, the only reason this is because, well, several people I usually have to drive around had their schedule changed, and my sleep cycle got beaten up with a baseball bat. Still recovering over in the corner over there. You know, Maestro's trying to fix it, but we can only do so much with so little time. And speaking of little time, folks, I think it's just about that time for us to go ahead and tell you guys what happened during this week's edition of NXT from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Or more or less tell you guys what happened during this week's edition of NXT, because we can't tell you what, Maestro said we got it right the first time, so let's just move on and forget we ever said that, because the first match to take place to kick off NXT would be a triple threat match for the Group A Finals to see who will fight El Hijo del Fantasma for the interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And during this match, action right off the bat was hot and heavy, because after Kushida would get kicked in the chest by Drake Maverick after getting launched into the air, Drake Maverick that is, you would see Kushida pulling off a very beautiful German suplex bridge for near fall, and you would even see none other than the young hopeful of NXT himself, Jake Atlas, pulling off a rainbow DDT during this match for near fall. But ultimately, this match will come to an emphatic end with none other than Kushida pulling off his Juji Gatami, or something I like to call the Flux Capacitor Armbar, for none other than Drake Maverick to come in and pull off another miracle once again by actually pinning Jake Atlas while the armbar was applied. And while Kushida thought he won, unfortunately it would not be the case, because none other than Drake Maverick would go on to fight El Hijo del Fantasma for the interim Cruiserweight Championship next week on NXT. But after the match was over, a little bit of controversy with that win, because it would be revealed that Jake Atlas tapped out before the 3 count was counted. But Kushida would find Drake Maverick backstage and say, "You're fighting for your dream, you're fighting for your career and your life, you go on to fight for the championship." Only for Drake Maverick to rebuttal by saying, "I will fight for the championship, and when I win, I'm gonna give you the first title shot." And would then celebrate the fact that he has to fight against El Hijo del Fantasma, who actually came out and congratulated him after the match was over. Very sportsmanship by El Hijo del Fantasma. Not to mention, very cool mask and cape combination. And the next match to take place on NXT would be none other than the Blackheart of NXT, Johnny Gargano, going one-on-one against Adrian Alanis. Or Alanis? Alanis? Hey, I got the name wrong just as well as Johnny Gargano when he read it for the Johnny Gargano Invitational. And this young kid that he decided to give a quote-unquote big break to, he underestimated him and got a right hook to the face for it. But Johnny Gargano, who would flash back into reality, would decide to snap him out of reality by hitting him with a super kick and even putting on the Gargano escape while screaming at him, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" Only for Adrian, or Adrian according to the Maestro, to tap out in less than a minute for Gargano to win this match in the first ever Johnny Gargano Invitational via submission. But after the match was over, imitating the Gargano's classic dinner, you would see none other than Mia Yim, and of course the limitless one Keith Lee, making fun of both Johnny Gargano and none other than the Poison Pixie herself only for them to get offended by this and would request a match next week on NXT. Well, the Poison Pixie would, Candice LeRae, but not Johnny Gargano because he has a match with him already for the North American Championship at NXT TakeOver in your house. But not to gloss over what happened during that funny in your house scene that imitated the Garganos, you would hear Keith Lee say, "I'm carrying an imaginary flag for NXT that no one asked me to carry for this company, and thinks that the world revolves around me and I look more at myself in the mirror than I do my own wife." That's what he said about Johnny Gargano, and I completely forgot what Mia Yim said about the Poison Pixie, but it had to involve the fact that she hasn't won a single championship since she's been here for well over 20 years in NXT and has nothing to show for it, which is technically true. But besides them slinging mud at each other, and also with a surprise guest appearance from none other than Tegan Knox playing Pizza Delivery Girl during that, the next match to take place on NXT would see none other than Raquel Gonzalez going one-on-one against probably one of my new favorite wrestlers in NXT now, Shotzi Blackheart. And the reason why she's one of my new favorites, folks, because she came to the ring in a little tiny miniature tank of the original version of her real tank known as the Dirty Blonde. And during this match, just like that miniature tank, she put up one hell of a fight against Raquel Gonzalez, who had a size and power advantage against her. And you would see it during this match displayed with not only power slams, pendulum backbreakers, and even just slamming her into the ground as hard as she can, all for near falls, only for Shotzi Blackheart to come back during this match with not only a big boy senton, but also pulling off probably one of the most dangerous coffin drops I've seen since Darby Allin when he's on Dynamite. Seriously, she landed on her neck from what it looked like from the camera angles when she tried to take out not only Raquel Gonzalez, but also tried to take out Dakota Kai as well. But unfortunately for Shotzi Blackheart, that coffin drop would go in vain because all on the outside of the ring while the referee was checking on her and while things finally decided to calm down and included a little bit of vandalism from Dakota Kai to try to distract her, this match will come to an emphatic end when Candice LeRae, who thought that late night dinner wasn't funny at all, that was shown prior to the match after Johnny Gargano beat that invitational hopeful, and would get in the face of Tegan Knox, which would give Dakota Kai enough of an opportunity to distract Shotzi Blackheart by stopping her from doing the slice bread number 2 in the corner, and for her to get knocked up against the ropes, and for Raquel Gonzalez to pull off probably one of the most disgusting power bombs I've seen to date, actually cradling her in her hands before slamming her into the earth, for Raquel Gonzalez to win this match via pinfall. All with the help of not only Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox, and Dakota Kai. Yeah, that's the only reason why she won that match. And the next match, speaking of getting a little help from my friends, would see none other than the NXT Women's Champion Charlotte Flair teaming up with Chelsea Green going one-on-one against Rhea Ripley and the Queen of the Sky, Io Shirai, in a tag team match nonetheless. And during this match, Rhea Ripley and even the Queen of the Sky would have a point to prove during this match to try to knock the Queen down a peg or two, and would do so by not only seeing Rhea Ripley hitting Chelsea Green in the side of the head with a nasty pump drop kick sitting position for a near fall, but you would also see the Queen of the Sky saving none other than Rhea Ripley from a figure 8 leg lock with a set of tiger knees to the face, and would continue her tiger-like assault by later on in the match pulling off a tiger profane kick to the face of one Charlotte Flair, but unfortunately would not be able to follow up with that springboard missile drop kick because Chelsea Green would take the bullet, and that would lead to the conclusion of the match because once she missed that kick, Io Shirai would try to go ahead and try to attack Charlotte in her own corner, but unfortunately a little malfunction in the junction, to quote Mario Ronaldo, would lead to none other than Rhea Ripley getting knocked off the ropes and for Io Shirai to get caught in the roll-up with Charlotte Flair's feet on the ropes firmly out of the referee's view for the dirtiest player in the game and for the new client of Rob Stone to win this match via pinfall. And even though Chelsea Green's been a client of Rob Stone for the longest amount of time, I still think she's a new client, still learning new things. So yeah, new client in our book, Maestro. And the next thing to take place on said NXT that I almost called Monday Night Raw would see Adam Cole, baby, negotiating one last title shot against the Velveteen Dream at NXT TakeOver in Your House, where William Regal promised that if Adam Cole wins this match, Velveteen Dream will never get another shot at the NXT Championship as long as Adam Cole holds on to the championship belt. And I got a feeling with those conditions in line, Velveteen Dream is going to most likely win this match. Because I don't think there's ever been anybody in the WWE who ever had one of those last chance moments for the championship to ever really slip up on it and didn't win the gold. And not to mention, this week would mark the 1 year anniversary since Adam Cole became NXT champion, but couldn't celebrate it thanks to Dexter Lumis and, of course, the Velveteen Dream. And after that little bit of moment, folks, next thing we would see on NXT would be not only Imperium calling out Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, but also Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan going on record by saying that the reason why they imitated Imperium because they do not want Imperium to have a long title reign and look to put an end to their international reign and would give a toast to the end of Imperium's title reign over the NXT Tag Team Champions, for Oney Lorcan to say, throw them up, and for them to cling it out with a couple of cold drinks. Which I can't wait to see how these guys further gel as a tag team, seeing the fact that they beat the living daylights out of each other during the UK circuit. Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Or more or less the same situation with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. They beat each other so much they beat the respect into each other. Yeah, that's a better word to say for it. And the next match to take place on NXT would see none other than Tommaso Ciampa going one-on-one against Leon Ruff. Now, before this match could really kick off, everybody in the crowd would point out to Tommaso Ciampa that the Silver Surfer of Destruction herself, Scarlett, would be right behind none other than Tommaso Ciampa. And he took his eye off the ball long enough for Leo Ruff to get a 2-count fall and then get the crap kicked out of him with not only a tiger knee to the face, but also another tiger knee in the corner, leading into a fairy tale ending for Leon Ruff for Tommaso Ciampa to win this match via pinfall. But after the match was over, Scarlett would slowly but surely make her way up to the ramp, and then we would hear an important message from Karrion Kross, who would then say everything that what Tommaso Ciampa said last week was true. You are special, this is special, but I promise you at NXT TakeOver in Your House, you're gonna feel something that you have never felt before, and then would say his classic word of TikTok. But on his Twitter page, he would say that you broke the killer's code by showing apathy to your victims, and you will pay dearly for that at NXT TakeOver in Your House. and even Leon Ruff would weigh in on the two opponents that are supposed to be fighting against each other that beat him up over the past couple of weeks, and would say that with Tommaso Ciampa, he was scared for his career, but with Karrion Kross, he was scared for his life. And he should be, because he got dive-bombed on his head right in front of everybody, and yeah, there was nothing you could do about it. Not to mention got the oxygen squeezed out of his skull, just like Tommaso Ciampa's gonna get if he doesn't cut it out with that compassionary form that he has during his matches as of late. Probably the reason why in the world he lost to Johnny Gargano in that match they had, where Karrion Kross and Scarlett were watching onward after the match was over. You know, for those who didn't see them inside of that black car while Johnny Gargano was leaving with Candice LeRae. You know, we're trying to piece everything together with the upcoming doomsday that's coming to Tommaso Ciampa. But besides Tommaso Ciampa's final days in NXT slowly but surely counting down, the main event of the evening would see Timothy Thatcher going one-on-one against the ultimate bro himself, Matt Riddle, in an NXT fight pit. And this fight pit, ladies and gentlemen, sort of reminds me of a combination of a steel cage and Elevation X from TNA, which was absolutely insane, just like this fight. Because it wasn't a match, it was a fight. Because during this said fight, that saw none other than the ultimate bro Matt Riddle putting his cage skills to the test by beating the ever-living daylight flag tag out of Timothy Thatcher during this said fight, and would even see him doing not only a disaster kick, but a field goal kick right to the mouth of Timothy Thatcher, knocking out two of his teeth, with blood all over the place. So this turned from a fight pit to Fight Club. And I got a feeling Tyler Durden was somewhere lurking in the background where all this blood and violence was going on, because then it would take place on the top of the fight pit, over on those giant scaffoldings, where you would see Timothy Thatcher pulling off a beautiful grapevine ankle lock, only for Matt Riddle to counter it, knock off Timothy Thatcher off the top of the structure, for him to do a floating broton off the top of the cage. And according to the Maestro, it was actually a floating bro, but unfortunately, after that bit of offense, Timothy Thatcher would try to lock in the RNC, rear naked choke for those who don't know, and would get it on Matt Riddle, only for Matt Riddle to try to fight out of it by knocking Timothy Thatcher into the cage on a multitude of occasions, and then trying to finish him off with a broton, big boy broton for you New Legacy Inc. fans out there, but unfortunately would have all the wind knocked out of him afterwards, only for Timothy Thatcher to finally lock in that RNC, for Matt Riddle to be knocked unconscious, and for Timothy Thatcher to win this fight pit, and the first and probably last of its kind, to celebrate on the top of the cage along with Kurt Angle holding his hand up high to close out NXT for this week. Now, where will this lead the rivalry between Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher, with them both tied? I got a feeling there's gonna be some form of rubber match to take place at TakeOver in your house, but who knows? We'll have to find out next week on another episode of NXT. And with my best Mario Ronaldo impersonation of saying the word NXT out of the way, folks, we might as well head back into the music, and when we return, we'll be back with more of our late night, Friday night streetlight shenanigans as MusicVillage rolls on, right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned.